I love your questions. Thank you for sending them. This one, well, it's reworded, simplified, because a lot of people ask this. Frequently, I discuss this topic. And, well, let's just take a look. Can aloe gel cure cancer? Can it treat or can it cure cancer? And this is going to be somewhat of a long answer with no definitive yes or no, of course, because really, technically, there is no cure for cancer. You can ask doctors about chemotherapy. Does this cure cancer? There are things that kill cancers. Cure is, something that people hope for. They hope that remission lasts, and eventually we would consider them cured after a period of time if the cancer was killed down. And people are cured from cancer quite often. It does happen. But ultimately, we look at something like cancer and we say, okay, or not even cancer, any illness or disease process, we say what caused it, and how do I make my body work better? How can I assist my body in overcoming this? And probably the number one thing is getting rid of the cause, whether it's cancer or arthritis or whatever it is. We want to eliminate the cause. Inflammatory bowels, it doesn't matter what the condition is. Am I eliminating the cause? Now, we can't always figure out what the cause is. Sometimes our best approach is figuring out what we can do to make our body work more like it's supposed to. And in the case of cancer, that might include medicine. It might include, if a medical approach might include chemo, radiation, surgery. For some people, surgery would be cutting it out, and that could be life-saving or buy people time to make changes in their life to get rid of the cause and do the things they ought to. But you asked specifically about aloe, so let's take a look at some things here. And this is from Wikipedia. Under Immunostimulant Properties, ace-mannan has been demonstrated to induce macrophages to secrete interferon, tumor necrosis factor, and interleukins. Therefore, it might help to prevent or abrogate viral infection. These three cytokines are known to cause inflammation, and interferon is released in response to viral infections. In vitro studies have shown ace-mannan to inhibit HIV replication. However, in vivo studies also have been inconclusive. Ace-mannan is currently being used for treatment and clinical management of fibrosarcoma in dogs and cats. Administration of ace-mannan has been shown to increase tumor necrosis factor and prolonged host survival. The animals have demonstrated lymphoid infiltration and encapsulation. What is ace-mannan? Ace-mannan is a nutrient found in aloe vera. In aloe, I should say, because there's other species of aloe, not just aloe vera. Aloe vera happens to be the most common of the aloes, the one that you'll most likely to find in a grocery store, whether it's a leaf or processed into something that could be consumed. Let's take a look at some other things here too, as long as we're on it. And this is a randomized study of chemotherapy versus biochemotherapy with chemotherapy plus aloe arborescens in patients with metastatic cancer. And this can be found online. And what you will find in this case is that, here we had 121 patients that were given chemotherapy and 119 that were given chemotherapy plus aloe. And, they all had stage 4 cancers. And, when it comes down to what was considered the complete result or the best category to be put in, when you look at how people did, the smaller group by a couple patients that got the aloe with the chemotherapy actually had 10 people in the complete result group, whereas the one that only got the chemotherapy had 3 people in it. So that would be a significant difference. Does aloe help fight cancer? Interesting results there. In this letter, mannose impairs tumor growth and enhances chemotherapy. Mannose is the sugar molecule of ace-mannan, the nutrient in aloe. These mucopolysaccharides, these super long chain complex carbohydrates, essentially, which are a bunch of sugar molecules joined together. But the sugar molecule of aloe is mannose. It's not glucose or fructose or lactose or it's not those simple sugars that we would associate with our sweet tooth, but it's a sugar molecule that processes very differently. In fact, it was studied in, I want to say 1935, where they gave it to rats that were in ketosis, and somehow these rats stayed in ketosis. It does not process like glucose, doesn't raise blood sugar levels. In fact, people with diabetes will consume aloe vera to lower blood sugar levels or stabilize blood sugar levels at lower levels. Somehow it processes differently. Its effect on impairing tumor growth seems to be related to the cancerous cells trying to eat it, kind of like binding to it, wanting to consume the sugar. Cancers feed on sugar. That's how they're identified with a radioactive sugar compound is easy to show on say a PET scan, because the cancer cells will start eating the sugars. Well, they want to eat the mannose, but they can't digest it like glucose, and they have a hard time releasing it, which makes it difficult for them to consume glucose. Therefore, they starve. The thought being that when they are used in the presence of chemotherapy as well, that, I think one conclusion by the chemotherapy company was the mannose starves the cancer cells while the chemotherapy kills them. I would wonder if more research was done, if it would show that they eventually starve the cancer cells to death. More research is needed in this area. So, does aloe cure cancer? No. Might it be something that's helpful for someone that's fighting cancer? If it were me, my family, someone in my family, I would want to get rid of the cause of cancer, lung cancer. Well, stop smoking. Let's get you breathing clean air and, whatever it is to give the best environment for the lungs. Based on where the cancer was and how much cancer there was, decide whether or not medicine will play a role in the recovery process. And also, of course, how do I supercharge the human body to work as good as it can? What foods are going to contribute to wellness, and what foods are going to take away from that or hinder? Obviously, we wouldn't want somebody eating a bunch of sugar foods that are going to feed the cancer. So I'm thinking lots of fruits and vegetables and phytonutrients that have strong, not only antioxidant, we think of fruits and vegetables as antioxidants because that's one of the things they do is quench free radicals, and that might help prevent cancer. But those phytochemicals have a lot of other functions. For instance, regulating hormones and increasing intercellular communication, which is very important for your body and your immune system to be able to recognize where the cancer cells are. And they help stimulate detoxification, which is great for getting rid of the junk in your body so that your body will work more like it's supposed to. I would emphasize the vegetables because they're lower in sugars, probably the processed sugars that are really feeding the cancer cells. We need more research in that area as well. So between fruits and vegetables, I would emphasize the vegetables, and on the fruit side, I would emphasize low sugar fruits just to play it safe, like your berries and things that are more tart, not necessarily bananas. I don't know. I'm on the fence on that one. I don't know if they'd be good or bad for someone fighting cancer. Don't really know. But I can have a strong confidence about vegetables and the more tart of the fruits and berries. So that's kind of how I think about this, when it comes to fighting cancer. Is there a known cure? No. Is there things that we can do? Yes. We can take action and make wise choices, and we can follow our doctor's advice or not. And we can do everything that we can to make our body work more like it's supposed to. I want to get rid of the toxic environment. I want to put in good, life energy foods, things that existed hundreds of years ago, not these foods that have been invented in the past 50 years that are in packages sitting on shelves laced with chemicals that don't allow any kind of life to live in them. It's funny because they're filled with all kinds of chemicals to prevent like bacteria from taking them over. And yet when we eat them, when we feed ourselves, we're feeding our microbiome, we're feeding these things to bacteria. Very important bacteria, very important for things like regulating our immune system. Our immune system is dependent on a nice healthy gut and a microflora. So many things go wrong when we kill that and destroy and damage the balance of microflora. So I want to eat real food, chemical-free food. I want to detoxify my body and do everything I can to support, liver detoxification, help my kidneys to work as good as they can, not give them things that will get in the way and stop those filters from doing what they're supposed to do. I want to make sure I'm getting good rest, having good mental thoughts, because that is known to be good for your immune system. We want a good, strong immune system to help fight cancers. So whether or not you choose a medical approach, a natural approach, an integrative approach where you combine the two, those choices are up to you. I wouldn't ever recommend a medical only approach. I would always recommend doing things natural at the same time if you are doing medicine, but be a thinking person and decide for yourself what makes the most sense for you. Okay, that's it. Dr. Michael Haley with probably the most controversial topic that is most likely to get me banned for even talking about it.